it's sort of late at night, and I'm tweaking off of some caffeine. So I thought, let's talk about Kirby's Dream Land 1 on the Game Boy. Now, so this is the first Kirby game, the first game with Kirby in it. And in this one, Kirby, so he was, Kirby, we know him and love him today. He's a pink blob. Well, in this original game, Kirby was actually gray. I think the reason they did this is because one, well, they didn't have him all figured out yet, and two, he was on the Game Boy, and the Game Boy doesn't have color. So I'm assuming they decided to go with a gray, so Kirby, as Kirby's depicted on the Game Boy, in shades of gray. Well, actually, on the original Game Boy, it would have been green. But that way, their depiction of Kirby, on the Game Boy would actually be sort of accurate. I think that's why they did it. But again, it's like I don't know for sure. What's there to say about the original Kirby? It's a really fun game. It's really simple. Compared to some of the newer Kirby games, it's very bare bones. The copy ability did not exist. So Kirby could eat the enemies and grab the enemies by, eating them and either spit them back out or just eat them. And don't get me wrong, that's pretty fun. But yeah, the copy ability, which is like an absolute staple for Kirby, did not exist yet. Which is very interesting because that's what Kirby's is sort of known for, is being able to eat the enemies and take their power. So it is very interesting to see that. But that being said, Kirby's Dream Land, I know it was made to be a very family-friendly, game of all ages to where it's a very entry-level video game in general. To me, it's super easy too. It's really not difficult at all, especially because Kirby can float, so you can fall off the stage, but like it's really hard to. I don't want to say you've got to be bad at games to fall off the stage, but a little bit. You have to be quite the novice to fall off the stage in Kirby, because you can float for so long. But so Kirby's Dream Land 1, or Kirby's Dream Land, the original Kirby game, there's only 5 levels in the entire game, and in theory, you can beat the whole thing in less than an hour. I remember when I beat it, I'm pretty sure it took I think it might have been less than an hour. Again, it's been a while since I played it, in all honesty, but I do have a very vivid memory of what it was like. But yeah, no, it's a very iconic game. All of the 5 levels are fun. I don't think any of the levels are bad. And yeah, the boss fights aren't crazy, but they're still fun. That's the thing with Kirby Dream Land 1. I think it's just a very good entry-level game for someone who's new to gaming and wants to get into it. And maybe, you want to learn, what's the word? You want to get into platformers. I think Kirby's Dream Land does a great job with that. And then, yeah, overall, it's a very iconic game. Now, I would be yapping about it a whole lot more, but I hate to say this. There really isn't a whole lot more to say about it because that's just it. It's a good game. It's a very good game in my opinion. It's quite fun. It's really simple though. It's a very, very simple game. And yeah, you can argue that, yeah, definitely the future Kirby releases to come after Dreamland, I would say are overall superior games because they add the copy ability and, they were, well, most of the future releases were in color because there was only one more mainline Kirby on the original Game Boy, and that was Dreamland 2, which I want to make a video on that one alone. I think Dreamland 2 is really good. Again, it's not perfect. No, it's not perfect at all, but you know what? I think that they took, what worked with Kirby Dreamland 1 and what worked with Adventure. So Adventure is actually the second Kirby game they ever made, and that was on the NES. And that came out so Adventure came out in like 92 or 93, which is super late. What year did, I'm pretty sure it was 92 or 93, which that is super late for the NES. Like, the Super Nintendo came out in America, the Super Nintendo came out in 1991. And yeah, for that to come out in 93 was crazy. And that's one of my favorite NES games of all time. Adventure is awesome, but this video is not about Adventure. I don't want to get into that too much. But no, it was to me, Pokemon Red and Blue, in my opinion, was a great start to the franchise. Or it was a start to the franchise and a solid start, but as a standalone game, I think it's a little bit rough. I don't want to say flat out bad. I just think it's rough and it needed a lot of work. Work that future games gave. I think that Kirby's Dream Land is a bit of a better start for Kirby because, yeah, it's super bare bones, super simple like Kirby compared to, overall superior experiences you can get with a future game. But it's not bad, and I still think that one is definitely worth going back to because, again, it's really cool to see where the Kirby franchise started. It's such a fun game. And I want to make some more videos talking about some of the other Kirby games because it's just a fun franchise and honestly one of my favorite game franchises. But no, yeah, if you are a Game Boy fan, get Kirby's Dream Land. I would highly recommend it. And honestly, if you're just a fan of platforming in general, or maybe you're someone who wants to get into gaming, yeah, Kirby's Dream Land is just a very fun, it's just a happy-go-lucky, lighthearted little fun game. And yeah, you can beat it in a sitting, which to me that's pretty cool. Again, if you're expecting a game with like a lot of crazy lore and deep content, future Kirby games have some pretty interesting lore actually, but for this one it's just, I hate to say bare bones because that sounds bad. It's very simplistic and it's a quick play, kind of like a quick read, but instead of reading, it's a quick play. Yeah, Kirby's Dream Land. I would play it. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. Oh shit! My mic just fell apart. Hold on. I gotta get this off my shirt. How do we? Oh, there we go. I really wanted to do this. Mic drop.